46. A lot of lightning associated with this storm, and there you see where Nathan's highlighting where the area of rotation is. It has been a broad area of rotation, but now there's enough concern where it's tightening up just a little bit. And now the winds in these are not, this is not a classic supercell thunderstorm where the winds would be intense, but this is a dangerous storm. And if you live anywhere near Highway 246, and I believe the county that I'm looking at there is Polk County. This is Howard County down here, Sevier County down to the south. Okay, so this is mostly Polk County. The storm has just moved from the Howard County line into southern parts of Polk County near Hartley, Highway 246. And Nathan, what was the speed on that? It looks like it's moving pretty quickly.
Yes, Ed, it's racing to the northeast about 55 miles per hour.
Okay, lightning showing up here as well. We haven't had a lot of reports of hail from some of these storms, but enough indicating here on the radar picture, and we are using the Fort Smith radar, I believe, right now, aren't we? And that's the closest radar to this area. So Mena, the storm is about 10 to 20 miles to your south. It is moving off toward the north and east, but still, if you're in Mena, in Acorn, Big Fork, even Pencil Bluff, if you want to head into Montgomery County, then you are still in the path of this storm. Here are some other towns and communities for you. Hartley at 7:37, Shady at 7:45, Nunley at 7:50, Ink at 7:55, Pine Ridge at 8:04, Bowles at 8:13, and Parks at 8:17. Again, racing off to the northeast at a good clip. The storm is in one of those locations in the state of Arkansas. And don't get me wrong, we're covered. I mean, we've got a Fort Smith radar, Shreveport radar, Little Rock radar, but it's kind of in between all of those. So we're looking at a rotation so far from that radar. Nathan, what is the radar height, the beam height, as we're looking at that storm in Polk County? What is that about?
That radar is from Fort Smith. It's going to be about, looks like, about 5,000 feet.
Okay. 5,000 feet. Okay, keep in mind, the radar beam is coming from here, well to the north of your screen, shooting down at this storm at about 5,000 feet. We're seeing that rotation at 5,000 feet, and there is a good idea that this is also extending down to the ground, and because of that reason, the Weather Service went ahead and issued that warning. There, it looks like, is a new warning.
Yes, there is a new tornado warning that has been issued for northwestern parts of Yell County, getting into a large chunk of Logan County, and just on the outskirts of Johnson County.
Details on that one, Nathan, moving to the northeast as well?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So all these storms are quickly firing up, quick spin-up rotations. We will see. We're going to monitor this. We're going to stay with you and see if these rotations hold together, but these are quick spin-ups. And again, can't stress enough, this is a radar image this is a display far from the actual radar itself, but there's enough there that warrants rotation and a tornado warning. Let's take you back to the new warning there, Nathan, just to the north and east of here. That one, obviously, much more of a well-defined rotation here with the reds and the blues. This is right near Blue Mountain, near Sugar Grove, near Waveland. This, again, a little closer to the radar site, so we are seeing a little bit more of a well-defined radar signature in that storm. And again, this is the storm that we're talking about moving up toward Boonville, Mount Magazine, Waveland, and soon to cross the Arkansas River here. There you see Danville. This is Yell County right there. There's Savannah. And the rotation is just now pushing, it's just on the county line, it looks like, between Logan and Yell County.
Yes, that is correct, Ed. And like we've been saying, the tornado threat's there, but also the damaging wind threat is there, ladies and gentlemen. So there may be a funnel on the ground at this time, but there could also be some really powerful, destructive winds. I'm getting winds 5,000 feet above the surface of over 100 miles per hour. The storms are climbing into the atmosphere 30, 40,000 feet. So that type of wind energy can work its way down to the ground, and you get winds of 70 to 90 miles per hour. You can expect widespread power outages down trees and maybe even some structural damage, even if it's not a tornado. So certainly folks in these locations need to watch out. But this is what we've been talking about, Ed. It's that low level jet now kicking in, moving in from the southwest. These storms are beginning to rotate, and we're starting to see the evolution of this entire event come to fruition. So hopefully it's more of a damaging wind threat, but we got to watch out for the potential of tornadoes as well, just because we have so much wind energy that these storms can start spinning like tops and produce not only a brief weak spin of tornadoes embedded within the squall line or line of thunderstorms that's going to be developing and charging its way through, but also any storms that develop ahead of the line, those have the potential of producing maybe a strong tornado as well.
That's right, Nathan. And so far, we have not seen that classic type of supercell that develops out ahead of the line. But we've got two areas of rotation here we're watching. Pretty significant one here on the Yell and Scott County line. Tornado warning again until 8:15. Same thing going on down in southern Polk County. This storm just now has moved north of Howard County, and that is also a concern. There could be some rotation embedded in that storm. Looks like, okay. So yeah, there you see the polygon. There's the warning. And as far as the rotation goes, it's just here, just to the south of Mena. I'd guess that's 15 miles south of Mena, headed right over Hartley, headed toward Shady, headed toward Board Camp. Highway 8 runs through Polk County right here. That's just to the south and east of Mena. That's where the rotation is headed, and it looks like there could be a secondary area of rotation as well. But keep in mind, we're looking far, far from the radar. Take us back up to the north and east. Let's see what's going on. Okay, yeah, significant winds there, Nathan. Yeah, there's some wind energy. And that's what he mentioned. I mean, that's what Nathan was just talking about. If this is not producing a funnel or a tornado, it's going to produce a lot of wind, okay? And wind damage is pretty much the primary threat that we're looking at as we go into the nighttime hours. Low-level winds at about 5,000 feet, really begin to kick in around this time of the evening. That translates down toward the ground, kind of like a downburst in a way, but not technically that. And that really helps produce the wind energy that we're seeing. But yeah, there is a classic couplet there right over Waveland. If you are in Waveland, Blue Mountain, close to Mount Magazine, Sugar Grove, seek shelter right now. Possible tornado. Also Havana, headed your way. That is near Highway 309, it looks like, headed up into parts of, it looks like mainly most of this should affect, it looks like Boone County, Logan County, I'm sorry. It looks like it mainly is going to stay here in Logan County, but right now it's on that county line there on Yell County and Logan County. The winds in that one,
we're getting about 58 miles per hour, and that is going to be, 1 second here to tell you, the height of that is going to be about, I'd say 4,000 feet above the surface. Actually 2,500 feet above the surface. So that's getting about as high as Mount Magazine almost. So yeah, certainly they're going to get some pretty gusty winds. Again, we're talking mainly the extreme eastern part of Logan County on the Yell County line, soon to be moving up toward Lake Dardanelle should this hold together. But there you see Mount Magazine. What we're looking at here are the reds and the blues that are coming together to show that strong wind rotation. So technically we have 2 tornado warnings that are in effect across the state right now. One issued about 10 minutes ago for Polk County. That warning, again, moving to the northeast at 55 miles an hour, I believe. And the second tornado warning just to the north and east of that, also moving to the northeast at close to 50 miles an hour. Not much in the way of lightning showing up here, nor, okay. Well, there's a new velocity scan that we're looking at right now. And you're seeing the live winds. They're still there. There's a couplet there. So again, we're watching that part of the county very close. Again, Mena, this storm is very close to you, but it's just to your south and its trajectory taking it more toward your east. So I got to watch out for folks in Shady. Here's Highway 375. There's Board Camp. There's Highway 88. And there's where there could be a tornado. If not, maybe a funnel cloud. If not, winds close to 70 to maybe 80 miles an hour at times, more likely in that 50 to 60 mile an hour range. But either way, this is going to do some damage.
So with that said, I just thought of this. I mean, anybody in western Arkansas or central Arkansas for that matter, you really need to make sure you have information tonight. You have to be having your phones charged, make sure you have all your devices fully charged, your weather radio, download the THV app, make sure that you are informed, as we will be here all night giving you this information, but you have to have a place to go and a place to stay safe in this part of the state right now. Now, all of this could spread farther toward the east as a tornado watch continues in effect until 2 o'clock in the morning. And those are for areas mainly in central, north, and southern parts of Arkansas. So there's the tornado warning still in effect.
I'm just checking on some information here, Ed.
No, that's fine. That's fine, Bob. I just want to kind of illustrate to folks there. Gravelly, and there is the tornado polygon. This is the storm that rotated in southern parts of Polk County. If you do live in Mena, I would suggest you seek shelter immediately. Even though it doesn't look like you're in the direct path of this rotation, you're close enough to it. Ink, Board Camp, Opal, Big Fork, all in the path of this rotating thunderstorm. Quite a bit of lightning with it. There's a clearer view of where the actual tornado polygon exists, and Nathan's showing us a little bit of rotation. It's not that strong, but again, with the radar beam at 5,000 feet, you know, there's still some rotation there. The Weather Service always errs on the side of caution, seeing if that extrapolates down toward the ground. So something definitely there to watch in southern Polk County. Now, I think Nathan's looking at the Fort Smith radar here, and from that view, I don't see nearly as strong of a rotation. So we may be in the early hours of this severe weather event where we see these quick kind of spin-up tornadoes, but we're very, very aware of what could happen later tonight with stronger tornadoes. So there you see what could be some rotation near Shady. That is along Highway 375, just a few miles to the south and southeast of the town of Mena.
And they're going to continue those tornado warnings for both Polk County into Scott County, and also the other warning right around Mount Magazine into Logan County. As we take a look at the big picture here, you can see nothing happening in Little Rock Metro at this time, but that line of storms is coming together in western parts of the state. And as this line of storms comes together and charges its way to the east through this evening into the overnight hours, the main concerns will be damaging wind gusts. 50, 60, maybe as high as 70 or 80 miles per hour in some locations. And along that line, we have to watch out for the potential of some spin-up tornadoes, but also any storms that develop ahead of the line. Those have to be watched very closely because those can produce a higher threat of tornadoes. So we're just starting this long night. It's going to be a long night here in central Arkansas, so make sure that you stay aware through the overnight hours until we give you the all clear for your location. Of course, that is going to work its way from the west to the east. So the severe weather threat, as we take a look at the timing, just to give you a little different perspective here, the timing of this event is going to wind down to locations to the east. So let's take a look at what this one model is forecasting to give you a perspective hour by hour. So here's where we are about 8 o'clock. This is what the radar could look like, and it's a little bit behind. We're seeing that squall line a little bit farther to the east, but just to give you a good idea of what's going to be happening, there's the line moving in maybe as early as 11 o'clock midnight for, I would say, Little Rock Metro, and then I would say at 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock, that line should be moving its way off to the east into eastern parts of the state. We're going to have to deal with also some flash flooding concerns because it's going to be producing a lot of heavy rain, so also keep that in mind. That's another impact we're going to watch out for. But of course, at this time, we're keeping an eye on that tornado warning that is in effect for Polk County and also into Scott County.
That one is canceled. So Scott has now been canceled.
Okay, Scott has now been canceled. We'll go back to the radar and we'll send it over to Chief Meteorologist Ed Buckner.
Yeah, thanks, Nathan. So the warning for Scott County has been canceled, but with that said, there's still enough rotation closer now to Yale County that we need to be aware of here in the extreme northwestern corner of Yale County. And of course, the rotation that's now in southern Polk County, moving to the northeast at about 55 miles an hour. So these are fast-moving storms. Of course, it's nighttime. You're not going to see them. Keep in mind, we have a tornado watch in effect until 2 o'clock in the morning. The area of rotation right now is right here where you see the pinks and the greens and the blues all coming together. And that's, again, just a few miles to the south and southeast of the town of Mena, right here. Mena, you're not in the direct path of this rotation. And I'm calling it rotation because we have not had any confirmation that this is a tornado, but the radar does show there's something going on in the atmosphere here that could produce a tornado at any time. So seek shelter here. Yeah, even if there's not a tornado, as Nathan said, you're going to get winds 50, 60, maybe 70 miles an hour, and that's going to produce quite a bit of damage. And that's why I stressed a moment ago, make sure your devices are charged before you go to bed. You want to make sure you get the warnings if your area is put under a warning. There again is some pretty decent rotation that's showing up in, it looks like, parts of Yell County. Although I believe, the Scott County warning has been canceled, but we're talking about Logan County and Yell County, just right here on the county line between those two counties, where we're seeing still some rotation, and that warning continues until 8:15, so another 30 minutes or so on that. It does look to be still pretty significant. Keep in mind also to have a place to go at nighttime. Where are you going to go in order to protect yourself and your family if a tornado does come your way? Again, no confirmation yet that we have a tornado within this cell, but it still looks pretty ominous on radar. And as Nathan mentioned, you can see nothing going on at all to the east of us, but that's going to change later on tonight as, again, all of this begins to move through. All of the ingredients are really coming together. Maybe they won't come together exactly in sync, and that's what we kind of hope for, to be honest with you. We don't want all these ingredients coming together at the same time, or that's a big tornado outbreak. But we do have instability. We do have wind shear. We're waiting on the Pacific cool front that is still well back to the west, and also the upper trough, which will swing through late tonight, early tomorrow. So that's the upper level lift. We also have low level lift in the form of the cool front. So those elements are still lagging behind, but you can already see with all the wind energy and the moisture and the instability that we have, well, then we are beginning to see rotation. This is a little interesting to look at right here. There I see a couplet, but north of Waveland, south of Paris. Again, we're talking about Logan County. Boonville, you're not in the path of that, but look at this line. You see that orange color right there? That is an outflow of wind, gushing and very damaging wind, most likely pushing into parts of southern Franklin County and into Logan County. There's two threats here, okay? Possible tornado north of Waveland, strong straight line winds, likely near Boonville, extending north toward Ozark and Cravens, okay? So this is the worst storm in the state actually right now, with several different factors going on. Lightning, wind, and possibly some rotation up there north of Waveland. Also still, we haven't forgot about you down in Polk County, watching that rotation near Big Fork, and that is moving also to the northeast at 55, or at least it was last time we checked. I don't know if it's slowed down or not, but that warning continues in effect there as well. Most of this activity kind of bordering on the western part of our state, the western border. Most of it moving off to the north, if not northeast, 50 to 55 miles an hour. So it's not really directly moving towards central Arkansas. And we've been talking about this for days. This activity is going to be slow to push through. This timeline for if you're watching here from central Arkansas, it's going to be later on tonight. What is it? 7:45 right now. So we're expecting some of this activity to possibly not even affect, or I'm talking about the tornadic activity or the wind damage, to not affect central Arkansas here for a couple of hours. Any more information there?
We're looking at the chat with National Weather Service, and one of the meteorologists is saying that there's 110 mile per hour rotation embedded within that storm in Logan County. So there could be a strong tornado as this works its way through Logan County. They're certainly saying that is a possibility because, like what we've been saying, those winds are 5,000 feet, 4,000 feet above the surface. That's all we can see right now with radar. We don't know what's happening below that. So there could be something certainly strong that could happen at any moment into Logan County. Now, this other cell moving out of Polk County, if that holds together, that's going to get pretty close to Scott County, maybe drift its way into Yell County. So we have to watch out for that cell as well, Ed.
Nathan, take me in to where you could find the most defined rotation in the storm in Logan County. Let's see if we can get real close to streets and communities. When you put on the wind velocity display here in Logan County, I know we're talking around Subiaco, Paris, Corley, Mount Magazine, but yeah, I mean, that's a well-defined couplet, folks. That is where the tornado would be if it's on the ground right now, or maybe a funnel cloud, strong winds. This is Highway 309. Here's Corley. This is now to the north of Mount Magazine. That doesn't mean you're out of the woods. I'm just kind of giving you an idea. That's to the north of Mount Magazine, and it continues to move off to the north and east. Last check, around 50 to 55 miles an hour. Here's Subiaco, and I just want to kind of go downstream a little bit, shall we? If that, and Nathan just said, Weather Service is saying there's potentially strong winds there. That's going to cross Interstate 40 here in the next 30 minutes or so. So we need to make sure all of our friends and family up into Johnson and Franklin County are aware of what storm is headed their way, possibly into Pope County as well. If it takes a little bit more of an easterly turn, that would push it more toward Dardanelle and Russellville. Either way, all of the towns I'm talking about, you're all in danger, in the path of a potential tornado right now. So we're talking mainly strong rotation near Mount Magazine State Park. That also does include the community of Driggs, Highway 109, up to Subiaco, Highway 22, up toward Prairie View and Scranton. And then, if it holds, okay, we're looking, okay, let me go back to this storm. I want to show the storm that Nathan's showing me right now. No, that's fine, Nathan. You can stay right there. I want to go back down into parts of Polk County and kind of illustrate where we're looking at. This storm, again, still shows a couplet there, still shows rotation. And I'm sure the Weather Service is going to hang on to this tornado warning until it's set to expire at 8:15. But we're talking about areas like Board Camp, Cherry Hill, Highway 88, and it's real close. This is Montgomery County right here. Pine Ridge is in Montgomery County, and this is Polk County, and here's Highway 88. If there's a tornado, funnel cloud, strong winds, it'll be just south of Highway 88, maybe a mile or two, right over Board Camp and real close to Opal right now as well. That storm does still show some rotation here, pretty decent little couplet. And again, last I heard, unless Nathan can correct me, moving northeast at about 50 to 55 miles an hour. So those are some of the communities there affected in Polk County. Board Camp, Highway 7, Big Fork, Cherry Hill, and eventually, if it holds together, it could again affect Scott County, which right now, Scott County is not under a warning, but it could, if it holds together, re-affect that part of our state. So 750, Yocana, 830, Oleo. I don't think I've ever said Oleo on the air before, but you folks, you're in the path of a dangerous storm. Gravelly and Bluffton as well. And there you see where the center of rotation is. Now, Mena, I know a lot of folks watch us from Mena. You are currently not in the path of the storm. And matter of fact, it looks like for now you're okay, but there are more storms in Oklahoma. We are no way done with this night. You know, we may not be done with this night until Saturday morning at 4 or 5 o'clock, okay? But for now, the storm is well to your east in Mena, moving north of Big Fork, continuing to move off to the northeast, and that warning, tornado warning anyway, continues in effect until 8:15. There you see the motion, a little bit more of a northerly track than a west to east kind of track there.
Yeah, that's right, Ed. And we'll have to watch out what happens down to the south. I'm looking at around DeQueen, other cells starting to develop. And any cells that develop in southwest Arkansas will certainly have to be watched very closely because they tap into that low-level jet stream, and they can certainly start to rotate. And we have to keep a close eye on DeQueen, Nashville, Arkadelphia, Mount Ida, and Hot Springs over the next couple hours as these cells are starting to get a little more active, getting a little more strong, and they are definitely starting to intensify. They're still watching that tornado warning into Logan County, and if that continues to be the case, then that rotation could try to move towards the Clarksville area, Ed. So That's a pretty populated area. Let me take a look and see if the rotation on my other system here
while you're
is
doing
coming
that,
up.
yeah, go ahead. While you're doing that, let me just say, yeah, people are traveling. Clarksville's a more populated town in this area, but there is still some broad rotation in the storm. And it looks like it's just now to the east of Paris and Subiaco, but Nathan, check that out. There's decent velocity in this storm. And again, there's the county line. Pretty soon, this is going to be a Johnson County storm. Very soon, this is going to be a Johnson County storm.
Yeah, it looks like if it holds together, it's going to be Clarksville or Lamar or Knoxville. So if you have any friends or family in those areas, you're not under tornado warning just yet, but I certainly would give them a heads up that they could be at any time, because this rotation is starting to pick up, Ed. I'm seeing that now.
Yeah, I saw that on the latest scan there, Nathan. That's pretty incredible there. Really strong rotation being indicated here on live view radar. And again, it's all pushing to the north to northeast, headed into southern Johnson County. Pope County, you're right over here. It looks like it's going to barely miss you. It looks like it's moving more toward the north and northeast than it is toward the east. But regardless, everyone in this area, Scranton especially, you have to be really careful tonight. Morrison Bluff as well. Subiaco is to your east, so Subiaco, you'll miss this round. But every time I say that, I have to make sure everybody knows there's more coming, okay? But right now, that looks like a very strong tornado signature there, Nathan, in parts of Logan County. Storm still moving off, to the northwest, northeast, I mean?
Yes, let me do that again. And that wasn't
That's fine. Yeah, you got to
quick enough. I got to
broaden your perspective there, but it's moving to the northeast. So we can give you some towns here that are going to be affected by this, and it does look like it's actually strengthened over the past 30 minutes that we've been watching it. So moving to the northeast, it'll be in Scranton in 5 minutes, okay, 6 minutes or so. So seek shelter in these cities. Clarksville, seek shelter. You've got 20 minutes. You've got time. Go to your safe room. Martin Spring, 8:19. We'll see it near Walnut at 8:45 and Sand Gap by 8:49. Now, this may bring up a question to some of you. Why is this happening in January? It's not that uncommon that we get a lot of our biggest tornado outbreaks and a lot of severe weather in January. And if you've lived here any amount of time, you know that as well. I know a lot of you remember what happened back in 1999. So this is a dangerous night, and it's just now beginning. But there's where the potential tornado is, just to the east of Paris. Clarksville, you're in the path of this. Interstate 40, I hope, folks driving along Interstate 40, they're not going to see this coming. So I just wish I could just talk to everybody at the same time to get this information out. But a very dangerous possible tornado about to move toward Clarksville. And
they just issued the tornado warning for Clarksville, Ed.
Okay.
So
what are the, you got any new details? Still moving at the same speed? Or?
They are changing the wording of it. They're saying considerable. So the National Weather Service is definitely concerned that this is not just that brief weak spin-up tornado, but it could be an EF2. Looking at the velocity, that certainly could be the case. So yes, this is turning into a more serious situation for friends and family in Clarksville and into Logan County. So once again, if you have any friends or family, give them a call. Let them know they've got some dangerous weather headed in their direction in Clarksville, in Lamar, Hillcrest, Hagerville. Looks like it's going to case. Hopefully it went back up in the clouds before it moved into the Clarksville area. We're not seeing any damage reports at this time from the National Weather Service in regards to what happened in Clarksville, but I think they certainly got some gusty winds from that system, at least, Ed. And as we take a look here, we're just watching this line come together now into Polk County, into Scott County. That is going to be the main event, ladies and gentlemen. So as this line comes together, it's a solid line, just like what we were showing you on the news, that the radar was going to light up like a Christmas tree. And when you have these brighter colors, that's some very, very, very heavy rainfall. And then look at all the lightning too. I mean, I'm just going to pick out some of this lightning here. Just give me 1 second and we'll take a look at how many lightning strikes there have been in this area alone into parts of southeast Oklahoma. Let's just take that little chunk right there. But that's about 426 lightning strikes in the past 5-10 minutes. So it's going to be a light show, heavy rain, winds that could be 50, 60, maybe as high as 70 or 80 miles per hour. And then also we got to watch out for the threat of tornadoes. And that is going to be the case over the next several hours. So once this line gets through your area, the severe weather threat is over. So the severe weather threat has ended for northwest Arkansas into Washington County, into Benton County, Carroll County. The severe weather threat is over, but it is just starting to ramp up here into most of central Arkansas, and that's what we're going to be watching all evening long. We are not going to be leaving our post here in the Weather Center until this event is over. Ed.
Nathan, correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe I saw the Howard County warning disappear from the map. I don't know if you've got an overlay on there or not, but I don't see the northern Howard County polygon here anymore.
That is correct.
Okay, so and even if there were, that storm obviously has moved into Polk County. So the only tornado warning that we're talking about right now is up in Johnson County. And when Nathan was mentioning debris signatures, the radar, there's so many different channels that the radar has, and one is called correlation coefficient, and it just kind of shows if this storm were to pick up trees or maybe unfortunately a home, any kind of damage produced by it, it would show that signature. We saw that, but then he's saying that we're not seeing it as it moved through Clarksville. That's good news for Clarksville anyway, but not for the towns to the south. But we're still looking at a pretty strong rotation signature here just to the south west of Fort Douglas near Ozone. This is moving toward Highway 123. It is now north of Clarksville, so we're not currently under a threat in Clarksville, but again, more storms coming in. Not a lot of lightning with these storms, or not in the ones that we're talking about here, Nathan, but there's still something going on with that thunderstorm, probably a supercell that's just slow to die down, headed toward Fort Douglas. If you live along Highway 123, you need to seek shelter because this is still a rather ominous looking storm, not quite as strong as it was 30 minutes ago or so. And I believe this tornado warning is in effect until 8:45. I believe that's the longest one that we currently have in effect. So we have to be real careful. And it looks like it's maybe taking more of a easterly or northeasterly course. So that would put it in southern parts of Newton County here within the next 20 to 30 minutes. So yeah, there you see the tornado warning until 8:45 this evening. Still seeing some strong signs of rotation. And that storm about to move out of Johnson County and into Newton County.
And that is the only tornado warning that we have in effect right now for the state, Ed.
Well, we're going to hang with you until 8:45, if not longer. They may extend this into Newton County, so it's something we definitely have to watch. So the communities north of Clarksville, right near that Newton County line. And again, and I don't want to disregard a severe thunderstorm warning because, you know, Nathan mentioned this earlier, and we talk about this a lot. Severe thunderstorms can produce winds near EF0, EF1 tornado strength. So even the wind energy with this system, the way it's all coming together with us for us tonight, is still going to do some damage regardless of if you're under a tornado warning or not. So when you see these yellow boxes, those are severe thunderstorm warnings, and that means you could see winds easily near that 58, 60 mile an hour wind speed.
And they're going to issue another tornado warning for Logan County for the same area. We've got the rotation from that dying cell. It looks like it's ramping back up and headed for Mount Magazine once again. So unfortunately, the same area that just got hit by a confirmed tornado, you're in the danger zone once again. And if they don't have power, I would call or try to get any information out there as quick as possible because people that just got hit with the potential of a tornado, they're in the line again. They might not have power. So if you have friends or family in the Mount Magazine area, Subiaco, New Blaine, Corley, call them up and hopefully you can reach them because we do have rotation now starting to ramp back up right along the line of Yell County and getting into Logan County. So I'll bring up that rotation just 1 second because they will be going tornado warning. There is the rotation. You see that little kink right there. So that's certainly suspicious.
Right near Mount Magazine again, the same place we were talking about just a little while ago. And there you see Highway 309. There's Waveland. Y'all are Mount Magazine and Waveland in between where this potential tornado would be, and it's also moving to the northeast. So dangerous storm. Actually looks a little bit more of an easterly kick.
Yeah, they're saying it's moving to the northeast at 25 miles per hour, so not as quick as what they just had. But that one, that tornado warning, you see it's now aimed at southeastern parts of Logan County, northern parts of Yell County. If that holds together, then Russellville, you need to be on the lookout for this cell, because that is going to be drifting very close to Russellville and Dardanelle, it looks like. So we'll have to watch out for that cell very closely. Let me put a track on here just to give you an idea as this goes to the northeast, about 25 miles per hour. I'll stop it here. And
right there on the county line near Waveland.
We'll carry it to about, we'll say 28 miles per hour. So just to give you a little heads up, Hickory Grove about 8:44, 8:49 for Stafford, and the community of Delaware 9 minutes after 9 o'clock. And this rotation has certainly started to pick up. So if you live in those locations that I mentioned, you need to take your tornado precautions at this time. I'm certainly seeing some rotation around the Waveland area on my other information over here. So that is right on the line of Yell County and Logan County.
It sure is. It's about to cross Highway 309, moving toward Spring Lake Campground. If you know where Spring Lake Campground is, it's really close to Havana, just north of Belleville and Corinth, and this is also moving north of Danville. Does not look like it will affect Danville directly, but it's going to come way too close. So seek shelter anywhere here in northwestern parts of Yell County, anywhere there along Highway 10, Waveland, Havana, Spring Lake Campground, Danville, again, if it continues on this track, and even possibly Dardanelle, if it continues on that northeasterly track. You said it's moving northeast at 25. So this is where the tornado is, and there you see Highway 309. There's Havana. You are all in the path of a very dangerous storm and a possible tornado moving through here. There's a look at the intensity display and the tornado track, again, taking it off to the northeast at about 25 miles an hour. See here what's going on. Here's the end of the warning right now. It could be extended, but there's Dardanelle, there's Russellville, there's Interstate 40. So if that storm holds together, we're talking about Pope County, but right now it is on the Yell and Logan County line. This one does not appear to be headed toward Clarksville. It should stay to your south, but still strong energy, strong rotation within that storm. Keep in mind, tornado watch in effect until 2 o'clock in the morning for a good part of central and western Arkansas. The yellow areas, or orange I should say, these are all severe thunderstorm warnings where winds could get close to 60 miles an hour. Could be some large hail. Haven't heard a lot in the way of large hail reports with these cells, just a lot of wind energy. And again, each of these severe thunderstorm warnings could produce a tornado at any time. And again, we've had one confirmed.
Yeah, we're still watching that storm. It looks like it's intensifying. I'm seeing the cloud tops grow higher into the atmosphere, so that is certainly a concern for folks. It's right over Waveland at this time. It's going to be moving very close to Havana and Chicala. So if you're watching us in those locations, you need to take your tornado precautions at this time, because you got some very gusty winds, and maybe within that, a tornado could happen. And winds with that could be 70, maybe as high as 80 miles per hour. So we have 2 tornado warnings in effect for the state of Arkansas. And at this time, it's for Logan County into Johnson County, and also clipping extreme northern parts of Yell County and getting very close to Pope County. So those are the 2 cells we're watching. Once again, we're watching this line come together, and along this line, heavy rain, lightning, gusty, possibly damaging winds, and also the potential of tornadoes will remain a factor over the next several hours. I'm going to take a look at what just popped up here.
Okay,
see if there's anything new with the National Weather Service.
Go ahead and do that. And while you're doing that, I just want to mention again for the folks in southern parts of Newton County, don't let your guard down either, because that rotation that we saw moving out of northern Johnson County, that was near Ozone, Highway 21. Haw Creek Falls Campground. That's on Highway 123. That storm was very significant not too long ago, and it's on the north part of the upper part of your screen. I don't know if that rotation has diminished or not moving into Newton County, but right now the strongest storm is what Nathan is showing us right now near Waveland. That is where there could be a tornado. That warning again in effect until 9 o'clock this evening. There's a severe thunderstorm warning under that as well, for winds near 60 miles an hour. Still a very significant radar signature here showing the rotation right near Havana. There's Highway 10. Here's Danville, just for perspective. There's Danville. Here's Waveland. There's Blue Mountain. The tornado would be right through here, anywhere between Highway 309 extending down toward the Arkansas River, right near, there you go, right near Havana. And again, that is even showing more of an indication that there's going to be, if not a tornado, some very strong winds wrapping around this cell as it pushes to the northeast, I believe at around 25 miles an hour. So the tornado would be just to the north and northwest of Havana. And what we're showing you here are winds blowing toward and away from the radar, and that's the rotation that we're seeing in the atmosphere. So again, we've seen this all night long, or the past several hours as these things begin to spin up. The difference is these storms tonight have held together quite a bit longer than some of the other outbreaks that we've seen so far this winter. Severe thunderstorm warning till 8:30. There's that tornado warning until 9. I don't know if there's, I don't think there's a tornado warning that extends past 9 o'clock that's been issued so far. But this is going to be a long, long night, folks. We might see a break, but it won't last for long as this whole line has to push on through. And it looks like it's moving more in a northerly or northeasterly fashion instead of a quick push west to east. So that's what's going to make it such a long night. Make sure you have your sources of information and make sure you keep your batteries charged. We keep telling you that because I guess if you don't get the information, then you don't know, right? So we're going to tell you, but make sure you have ways to get this information, especially a way to be woken up at night. And a good way to do that, of course, is with our weather app and the weather radio that sends out that very loud alert to let you know. There's another look at the velocity display, and this rotation right now looks to be right on that Yell and the Yell County line. Yell, and it looks like, is that?
Logan.
Yeah, I would say Logan County. So that's where the tornado would be right now. I don't see the strong rotation that we had earlier up in northern. I'm not trying to change the subject here at all because that's the game right there. But I'm just wanted to glance up here real quick, Nathan, because we were tracking that storm. Still some strong winds near Limestone, Nail, and Deer, but not seeing the tight rotation couplet that we had. And currently there is no tornado warning. Just want to let folks know up in Newton County there is no longer a tornado warning, but now our focus shifts to what's going on here on the Yell County line, as that storm again pushes off to the northeast at a pretty good clip as well. This does not appear to be moving toward Clarksville. It does appear to be moving toward Dover, maybe Russellville or Hector. It does look to be moving more to the east than the line that moved northeast through Clarksville just a little while ago. There you see a couple of storm reports of tree damage. We don't know yet if that's from straight line winds, but could be funnel cloud, could be a tornado as well. There you see thunderstorm wind damage. Storm spotter reporting down power lines north of Highway 22. This was at 10 till 8, almost 45 minutes ago.
So they are going to continue that tornado warning into Newton County now, Ed.
Okay.
So they still see rotation. And
that was just reissued?
Yes, they have it in Newton County and also getting into northwestern parts of Searcy County. So let me zoom in to some of these communities here, and we'll take a look at the warning, and you can see there it is, Mount Judy into Point Peter, Hasty, Deer, Limestone. So those are the areas under a brand new tornado warning. That is in effect until 9:15 for this evening. So the same cell that produced the confirmed tornado into Logan County and then possibly into Johnson County, still holding together, still has the potential of producing a tornado at any time. So if you're watching us in locations and you're under that red polygon, you certainly want to take this situation seriously and take your tornado precautions at this time. As we take a look at the radar data, looking at the winds, it's going to be kind of difficult to see because we're kind of away from the radar quite a bit. I believe we're probably, I would say, 7,000 feet, if I'm not mistaken, as we get into the area. We're getting about 6,000 feet. So the radar beam might be too high to spot something actually happening, but this is very hilly. Of course, that's where the Boston Mountains are and the Ozarks. And if there's anything happening at about 4,000 feet, that could certainly try to touch its way along the ridge tops in those areas. So once again, those areas under a tornado warning at this time include extreme northwestern parts of Pope County. So Pelser, you're under that tornado warning, and then it moves into Newton County, just to the southeast of Jasper. Deer's included, Limestone's included, Mount Judy, Hasty, and Point Peter into Searcy County.
I'm sorry if I missed you say this, Nathan. How fast is that storm moving? I'm looking at something else here. Will you say northeast again?
That cell is moving to the northeast about 45 miles per hour.
Okay, so that was moving faster than the last one we looked at. Yeah, so Pelser right now would be pretty much closest to the area of rotation, which is really on the county line of Newton and Pope County. So it won't take long moving that quickly for this storm to be in the southeastern corner of Newton County. That would put it near Lurton and Moore along Highway 123. But right now, for now, the rotation does appear to still be in extreme northwestern parts of Pope County. This is nowhere near Dover or Russellville. This is on the Pope-Newton County line. It will, if it holds together, move toward the Buffalo River eventually. If it holds together, as it continues to move into parts of Newton and maybe eventually Searcy County. You see Marshall there on the top right of your screen. The direct path right now, as it's moving right now, does not have it directly affecting Marshall, but it should move through parts of towards Snowball, Silver Hill, and maybe even Gilbert, should it hold together. But right now, the towns most impacted by it would be Lurton and Ben-Hur. And these are towns on Highway 123 in southern parts of Newton County. There you see it right there, Mount Judy to the north. A lot of lightning showing up there between Fort Douglas and Deer and Limestone, and that would be on the backside of the rotation, which we're looking like is being somewhere close to Pelser right now in northern parts of Pope County. So this is the area that you need to seek shelter and be very aware of. We've had reports of damage and some power lines down. People are losing power in this part of the state. And we've said this a lot, and we will continue to say it. Sorry about that, but you might want to let people know in Newton and Searcy counties, if they don't already, if they haven't been watching, that they could lose power. They need a way to get information, as there's a lot of trees up there, as you know, so there could be some power lines down and a lot of tree damage with this latest tornado warning.
Ed, I just want to take a look at what's happening.
Yeah.
Of course, we don't want to forget this cell riding right along Logan County and Yell County. The rotation does not look as significant. It looks like it's becoming more broad, so that is some good news. But that tornado warning still remains in effect for Mount Nebo and right along the border of Logan County and Yell County. So once again, Russellville, Dardanelle, you're not under a tornado warning at this time, but we have to watch out very closely for this cell, because these cells can spin up and they can spin down very quickly. They go through cycles, so it may look like it's weakening. 5 minutes later, it could start to ramp back up and start spinning like a top once again. So that's what we'll have to watch out for as it starts to approach Dardanelle and Russellville. Regardless, you are under a severe thunderstorm warning at this time, because you could see straight line winds now of 50, 60, maybe as high as 70 miles per hour heading in your direction. That could bring down some tree limbs, that could bring down some trees, and that could also cause power outages. So be prepared to lose power in these areas under a severe thunderstorm warning. That includes a large part of Yell County, including the Danville area, most of Pope County, and over into Johnson County. All are under that severe thunderstorm warning until about 9:30.
Nathan, I don't think it's too early to tell folks in Dardanelle and Russellville to seek shelter, because this storm is taking on more of a an easterly track right there along the Logan and Yell County line. And as you mentioned, the rotation is not nearly as well defined. That's not, I mean, I would seek shelter if you're in Dardanelle or Russellville, because this storm does look to be moving right along the county line right there. Matter of fact, that last update shows even less of a tight couplet, more of a broadening, but there's still significant wind in here. And as Nathan mentioned, it can spin back up at any moment. The next radar scan, we may see something that makes us go, okay, now it's back again. But right now, this is the area of danger that is headed toward Dardanelle, and it's really kind of just moving right along the northern boundary of Yell County and the southern part there of Logan County. A lot of lightning being detected by this. So far, we've had reports of trees down and a report of a tornado south of Clarksville a little while ago. So we are seeing some reports beginning to come in, but a lot of times those reports take quite a bit of time. So we'll have to watch for this. There's something going on here north of Danville. You will not be affected directly by this, but there's some wind energy, at least coming toward the radar, or rather away from the radar. It looks like there's not nearly as much organization with that cell, but we're watching it, and again, the severe thunderstorm warning for this whole area continues in effect. Here's our tornado warning, and I believe, so we have just 2 tornado warnings that continue in effect.
Yep, that's right, Ed. We're still watching the potential of certainly rotation taking place. Could spin up a tornado at any time, but the good news is, like what we've saying, that rotation into northern parts of Yell County, into northern parts of, or southern parts of Logan County has certainly, looks like it's on the downturn. Hopefully it stays that way. We'll keep an eye on it, certainly for you folks in Dardanelle and Russellville. Still watching the tornado warning in effect for Newton County and getting into Searcy County. Does not include Jasper, but as we take a look at the winds with that, with the storm, we're still seeing certainly some very gusty winds, and there could be something there, whether or not that's rotation, or it could certainly be some very gusty winds. We're going to stop this, and we'll just query some of those winds. Now, keep in mind, this is about 5,000 feet above the surface, but that could transfer its way down to the ground because the storms will tap into winds like that. So you could see winds 70, maybe as high as 80 miles per hour around the Mount Judy area. And this is going to continue to move towards Point Peter into Searcy County, maybe even the St. Joe area. So heads up for you folks in those locations. This cell is moving quite fast, about 45 to 50 miles per hour. So just a heads up. There may not be a tornado, but it doesn't matter because there could still be some straight line winds, and that could be as strong as having a tornado. So this is still a dangerous cell moving through Newton County, getting into Searcy County over the next few minutes.
Yeah, that storm, if it maintains its current path, Nathan, it looks like it's the rotation is right over Highway 7 there near Deer, or rather Lurton near Highway 123. And if it continues its path, it'll head toward Bass and possibly even affect the community of Snowball as it heads into Searcy County. Take a look at the shot we have. This is from where, Lauren? Edwards Junction near Deer, Arkansas. A lot of lightning, of course. And again, hard to see any kind of rotation or a funnel, but regardless, it is a severe thunderstorm and a very dangerous night there. And there you see where Edwards Junction is. If there is a tornado, it is a little bit more to the right of your screen, a little bit more to the east there in that part of Newton County, headed into Searcy County. So we have to watch that. The tornado warning continues in effect, I believe, until 9:15 for this part of the state as that storm continues to race off to the northeast, I believe near 50 miles an hour. So, and Nathan's highlighting this for you. This is what I'm talking about. You see this red area right here. That's the area for the tornado warning across southern and southeastern parts of Newton County, extending into south, or rather northwest parts of Searcy County. So here are some communities that'll be affected by this storm. Regardless if it's a tornado, you want to get in a safe place for sure. Mount Judy here in the next couple of minutes. There you see Cave Creek, St. Joe, and again, Marshall does not look to be in the direct path of that storm, but that is still a pretty ominous looking signature, radar signature, even though it's that far away from the radar and the beam height is so high. So it's just one of those nights where the atmosphere is that volatile. And here you see some, again, the communities. Lurton at 8:55, it's pretty much real close to you, just now pushing into the county. And Piercetown at 9:10, St. Joe 9:26. And again, this is the storm we have to really watch closely, along with the storm that's moving through northern parts of Yell County.
I'm just reading some information from chat, taking a look at the radar. So they're changing the scans of the radar, so just keeping up to date with that.
Yeah, no, I appreciate that. Yeah, we're working together here to keep you informed with the most up-to-date data that we have. But these are some of the communities. If they sound familiar to you or they're your home, then you need to seek shelter immediately, because this storm has a tendency to spin up and produce tornado and also cause some wind damage as it moved into Johnson County. And then it calmed down. We were talking about it, calmed down and then picked back up again. And again, Mount Judy right now also showing some pretty intense wind energy there. And that's moving toward Point Peter and moving up toward the Buffalo River, which you see there on the northern part of your, or the top part of your screen. That's the Buffalo National River. A lot of lightning again on the back side of this, but there still could be some rotation even this far away from the radar. We can see something's going on there with wind, a lot of lightning. This is along Highway 374, Highway 123, and there you see 74, there you see Cave Creek, there you see Red Rock. And this is not just the only area of rotation. I mean, we have to watch closely, but it's getting on the fringe, I believe, of the Fort Smith radar velocity scan here. So gonna probably switch radars here in a little bit and get a better idea. But showing the wind, yeah, there's still, I mean, 60, that's damaging wind, whether it's 63, 73, 65. Either way, this has a lot of wind energy, even if it's not producing a tornado or showing strong rotation right now. Let's go back to the other tornado warned storm, and we do see now the confirmation of that storm report from earlier. And what I'm talking about, folks, is this little tornado symbol that was just to the south of Clarksville. This means a confirmed or a spotted, there's Clarksville. There you see Interstate 40, Highway 64. Firefighters report power lines down across Highway 109. And that time was around 7:54. And that's when we were also getting reports of some debris being picked up by radar. And again, that was earlier. Okay, that was almost an hour ago. Here we still see the current tornado warning. And I believe that's in effect until 9 o'clock. So I think we have two in effect, 9 for this one and 9:15 for the one to the north. And if I'm wrong, Nathan, you can let me know. But I see wind energy with this.
Yeah, I don't see rotation.
No, I don't see rotation at all. I see a lot of wind energy with this system moving toward Delaware and Mount Nebo and London and eventually into Russellville. So Russellville, Dardanelle, from what that radar is telling us, they're going to get some strong winds. We're not seeing significant indications of a tornado right now, but we are still seeing a lot of wind energy, a lot of lightning. And of course, you could see some power outages there in parts of northern Yell and southern Pope County as that line pushes through. And unless I see that couplet tighten up or strong rotation redevelop, I have a feeling that tornado warning will probably be allowed to expire on time. But still, it's a dangerous night, and we are in no way done.
Yeah, the strongest rotation I'm seeing now, Ed, is in Newton County. That is the most concern. They're going to cancel the tornado warning for Logan and Yell. Good. Okay, good. That's what we were just talking about. Yep, that one has now just pretty much gusted out. We're still looking at the rotation into Newton County. If there's something happening at this time, it's going to be very close to Mount Judy, headed towards Pindall, Point Peter, St. Joe, Tomahawk. So those are the areas that are most concerning at this time, with the potential of a funnel on the ground, but also maybe just some very strong straight line winds. It could be the case of 70 to 80 miles per hour. And there's a lot of trees in that area, of course, Ed, because we're dealing with the Boston Mountains and the Ozarks in those locations. So there certainly could be quite a bit of tree damage as these winds, if they are making their way down to the surface, will cause some problems along with some power outages.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, that's probably going to be the main story up in this area. The power outages that we will see, and again, the strongest rotation there in extreme northeastern parts here of Newton County, and that's what we're watching. And should that hold together, as Nathan mentioned, that does look to be affecting parts of the extreme northwestern parts of Searcy County near St. Joe. If there's a tornado, if there's not, there's going to be damaging wind. Right now, that area looks to be crossing over the Buffalo National River right now in extreme parts of northeast Newton County. So that's really the strongest storm currently on the radar that I believe that we have in effect right now. So we'll see. I believe that tornado warning is until 9:15 as the storm continues to race off to the northeast. Again, it's going through a national forest, not a good way to see a tornado at night for sure, so not getting any visual confirmation on what's going on up there, but we will in time. If we do get some damage reports, of course, we'll pass those on to you as well. But a severe thunderstorm warning also is in effect until 9:45 for all those counties that you see there in orange.
So Van Buren County, the Clinton area, now has been placed under that severe thunderstorm warning along with the rest of Searcy, and also getting into Stone County. They're going to continue that tornado warning. The latest update, they're still seeing that potential of a straight line wind damage and tornadoes in Newton County, certainly a possibility. And I totally agree with that, because we are seeing some very, very strong winds, and you can see just a small chunk right there into Newton County. You have to be on your guard. Mount Judy, Hasty. So this is the Buffalo River. Hopefully there's no campers in that location, because certainly that's not where you want to be on a night like this.
Do you have an update on the speed? Is that still moving northeast at like
45 miles per hour?
45 miles an hour, okay. And that warning's until 9:15. So they have trimmed the polygon, the warning area down a little bit. It's really pretty much all encompassing of the very northeast corner there of Newton County, near Yardell, and again headed toward Pendle. Marshall, you're not in the path of this storm, but there are quite a few more storms headed our way. Take a look at that as we look down towards southwest Arkansas. Storms really, really strong from Scott County into Polk County and even into parts of southeastern Oklahoma. All week long, we've kind of, this forecast hasn't changed that much, folks. We've kind of thought, and the Storm Prediction Center, National Weather Service, all in conjunction, have kind of had a bullseye on western and south Arkansas. And South Arkansas is yet to come, by the way. And you might be wondering, well, where's the storms in Louisiana and South Arkansas? We're still waiting to see what happens in northeast Texas as this upper trough and Pacific front gets a little closer to us. But this was round one. This is round one of the storms pushing into western Arkansas. Already reports of damage, trees down, and possible tornadoes. A lot of lightning with this. One tornado warning still in effect, and there will be others. And our whole weather team will be here through the night until this threat ends, which may not be till 4 or 5 o'clock tomorrow morning. So, you know, we've been, and again, this timing has been pretty much right on track, at least in western Arkansas, and we'll see another round coming out of southeast Oklahoma in northeast Texas. But the only tornado warning that we have in effect right now is for that very small part of Newton County. And matter of fact, some of the towns I was mentioning a little while ago, like Snowball, you will miss this as well. It looks like it's going to move more up into parts, it looks like, of Boone and maybe Marion and maybe Baxter County, should it hold together. So now we're talking about areas up near the Missouri border with that storm, as we've been tracking it now for the past 2.5 hours as it continues to move off to the north and east. But right now, Nathan, I'm not seeing any other, do you see any other area of concern as far as rotation goes with those storms coming out of Oklahoma?
Let me take a quick gander to see. I'm not seeing any
not immediate anyway, no. I don't see that
rotation of
either.
concern at this time, but it's just, you know, you got to wait and see what happens as those storms move into more of a prime atmosphere of warm temperatures, because temperatures are still into the 70s in southern parts of the state, Ed. So that is untapped fuel for the most part that we got to watch out for through this evening into the overnight hours. Nothing has changed with our thinking. We're still saying damaging wind gusts are the main concern, but yes, there's also the potential of tornadoes. They will be quick, they will be spin-ups, or they could be individual cells that could last a little bit longer. We'd rather have the spin-ups versus the supercells because the supercells have a better potential of producing some strong tornadoes. But right now, at this time, it is damaging wind gusts with this line developing right along the border of Oklahoma, moving into northwest Arkansas. Once this line moves through, you're done with the threat of severe weather. So it is starting to wind down in Fort Smith. They're done with the threat of severe weather. Fayetteville's done with the threat of severe weather, and a large part of Franklin County. But you notice the orange polygons. Those are severe thunderstorm warnings in effect for a large part of north central Arkansas, and then getting into Pope County, Yell County. I expect more severe thunderstorm warnings with maybe more tornado warnings through the course over the next several hours. And we're going to keep you up to date. We will certainly be here all night long until the severe weather threat is over. And just like I mentioned, that we've got a new severe thunderstorm warning now for the rest of Yell County into Montgomery County and also western parts of Garland County. So let's take a look at this to see what we're looking at. A severe thunderstorm warning until 9:45 for those locations. And they are also saying the potential of a tornado certainly cannot be ruled out. So once again, if you're under severe thunderstorm warning, be prepared for the potential of a quick spin-up tornado without any warning, because they happen very quickly and the radar might miss it because it's that quick. But certainly it's something we'll be watching over the next several hours. That also includes parts of Perry County as well, Ed.
Yeah, and I just want to reiterate, sometimes a lot of people may not be totally understanding the fact that you can have a tornado even if there's not a tornado warning. Any kind of severe thunderstorm can produce a tornado. The difference is when the Weather Service issues the warnings, they have a pretty good inkling that this is going to be rotation, and they're going to issue a tornado warning. But the point of this is that there's probably 12 or 13 counties right now under severe thunderstorm warnings, meaning any one of these counties could see that brief kind of spin up tornado. But most likely when thunderstorm warnings are issued, it's mainly for very large hail or damaging straight line winds, with the mention that there could be a tornado, but the threat of a tornado is lesser than the straight line winds. I don't know if that made any sense to you, but if you say, well, we were under a thunderstorm warning, but we got a tornado, they can happen, okay? And look at the real estate. Look at all the counties in orange. There's probably 15 counties that are in some way or form impacted by severe thunderstorms right now, as we mentioned, that could produce tornadoes. But last check, the last word we got from the National Weather Service is they're still concerned about that potentially tornadic thunderstorm that is moving into extreme northeastern Newton County, and it might clip Searcy County, but it looks like it's headed more into Boone County. So, that's new. There's some pretty significant wind there, Nathan, in Pope County now.
Yes, that's right, Ed. I'm looking at that. That's winds of 50, maybe as high as 60 miles per hour, starting to approach the Dover area. So if you're watching us in Dover, you got some nasty straight line winds heading your direction. This could certainly cause some power outages and bring down some tree limbs and maybe even some trees. So heads up, Dover, Augsburg, you're seeing that right now. That would be headed towards Scottsville, Hector, Retta, and into Lost Corner, and this is certainly bowing out. Yeah. So, that's a nasty cell that's going to be producing certainly, I think, quite a bit of power outages, Ed. Yeah,
even Russellville and Dardanelle look to be on the tail end of that flank, but that's some pretty strong winds, Nathan, going through Pope County. This is not considered a tornadic threat, but anytime you get a storm like this, it can produce those kind of spin-up tornadoes. So Dover, I tell you what, man, that's some strong wind headed your way, and eventually into Hector, Russellville as well. Still, you want to stay away from windows and get into a safe place, regardless of if this is a tornado warning or not. But that is an impressive looking wind field, Nathan, and again, still severe thunderstorm warning, but the only tornado warning that we have in effect is still in effect for Newton County.
Yeah, I'm just going to put a track on that, Ed. Just give me 1 second here.
Yeah, that's fine. Yeah, but this is where we're talking about, folks. This blue, where it meets the orange here in central Pope County, that is what we call a bow echo. It's where the downburst or the winds reach the ground. And where do they go then? Well, they go outward, okay? And that's what's going to produce some damage. This could produce more damage than EF1 tornado, depending on the strength of these winds. With that in mind, let's talk about some communities affected by it. Oh, Dover, you've got 1 minute. Hopefully you've been watching and hopefully you are safe. But Dover, in a minute, you're going to see these winds blow through. If you're not seeing them already, Moreland at 9:08, Victor at 9:17, Whit Springs at 9:30, Mount Pleasant 9:33, Clinton, if it holds together, Clinton, you'd see these kind of winds at 9:47, and then maybe Leslie at 9:51, but that's almost an hour from now, and we'll just see how that goes. But right there, Dover, there's the strongest winds, easily, I would guess, in that 50, 60, maybe 70 mile an hour range with that system. Here you see all the severe thunderstorm warnings again continuing to stay in place across west central and southwest Arkansas.
So the tornado warning has been canceled, Ed, for Newton County.
Okay.
There are no tornado warnings in effect at this time for Arkansas.
All right. So, okay. So there you go. Folks, this is not over with. There are no tornado warnings currently. There could be within 2 minutes for all we know, as the atmosphere is just so turbulent. We have had some reports of damage, a report of a tornado. It is almost 9 o'clock right now. No tornado warnings in effect, but you can bet we'll be back with any information. Before we have anything new, Nathan, or are we gonna? You got nothing new there? All right.
I have nothing new. They're going to continue to watch that cell in Pope County.
All right, guys, we're going to go back to programming, and of course, we'll be right back if any impending weather hits. Okay, stay with THV 11. There you see it. It's really practically just a couple miles to the east of the city of Danville there in Yell County. So again, this is a new tornado warning. Nathan, if you would do a track for me and let me know what communities might be affected by this. And I think it's moving to the northeast here at what was the speed on that? Did you catch?
45 miles per hour.
Okay. Would you 45? Okay. All right. I don't know if we have Nathan's mic turned up, but it's moving. Turn your mic. Yeah. Okay. Moving to the northeast at 45 miles an hour.
Yes, that's correct.
And the rotation is right here near Danville. There's Highway 10. And of course, there's Centerville. This storm is quickly moving off to the north and east. It'll soon be crossing over Highway 154. And eventually, it looks like there is a path that it could take it toward Dardanelle or even Russellville over the next 30 minutes or so. But it is moving very, very quickly. And there you see the storm track that we're putting on this right now. Pettigene at 9:57, Old Neely 10:06. Pottsville, 10:14, Atkins at 10:22, Kenwood, 10:29, Appleton, 10:37. And again, this is a pretty significant rotation that I'm seeing here on the wind velocity display. But, you know, it just kind of depends. And we have to wait and see how this holds together. If it does, it is in the front of the main line. The main line is still back here. However, it's not all on its own in its own environment. Not looking right now to be one of those potential supercells, but does look to be potential wind damage maker or funnel cloud or, again, a weak tornado moving again to the northeast quickly. Centerville, you're probably the biggest community, largest community in the path of where the rotation is occurring right now, but it looks a little bit more broad now as it moves toward Highway 28. And there you see Ola, there's Highway 10, and there, of course, the Arkansas River. Moving again quickly to the north. These things are firing up quickly, and then this one does not look to be as impressive as the ones we've been tracking for the past 3 or 4 hours. But there you see the tornado warning polygon. It's also under a severe thunderstorm warning for some very strong winds. And of course, these storms are producing heavy rainfall as well. You also see on the top left of your screen here 3 little tornadoes. We have had reports tonight of confirmed tornadoes with damage to homes and mobile homes in western parts of Arkansas. So you can expect this storm again to hold on to its own for a little while longer, headed toward Dardanelle, Russellville, Atkins, eventually Morrilton. Again, here's the latest radar wind scan, I should say, and it does look to be kind of spread out here a little bit, but the Weather Service watching this very, very closely. Hopefully this will not have to go into the late night hours for this storm, but again, there could be more storms that form as we go through the late night hours into the early morning hours. But there you see where the rotation is. Again, we're talking maybe 3-4 miles to the east of Danville along Highway 10. That's where the tornado would likely be if it is developing on the ground. We have no confirmation of anything so far, but again, this warning is brand new, just coming down from the National Weather Service. The track to the northeast will take it across Highway 154 and again up toward Dardanelle and the Arkansas River here near Dardanelle and into Russellville within the next 30 minutes or so, should it hold together. But a little bit of a rotation here, a little bit of a hook here, a little bit of an inflow notch. So this is a dangerous storm for sure as it continues to race off to the north and east.
And Ed, if there's not a funnel on the ground at this time, they're still going to get some gusty winds. You can see the bright blues moving through Yell County and getting into Pope County. So that is going to be some gusty winds, 50, 60, maybe as high as 70 miles per hour. But I'm sure you're hearing the sirens go off in Russellville and Dardanelle. That's because you are under tornado warning at this time. We were seeing a little bit more significant rotation when they first issued this tornado warning. It doesn't look as impressive, but still, don't let your guard down. Follow those tornado precautions. Centerville, Chicala, Dardanelle, into Pottsville, Atkins. You're all under a tornado warning at this time because we are still watching this cell continuing to show some signs of rotation. So a tornado could happen at any time, or it may have already occurred before the warning came out. Looking at the National Weather Service chat, they haven't mentioned anything as of new information, but what I'm seeing at this time, if there's going to be something, it's going to be very close to Chicala and Centerville. So those are locations right around Alpha, Lone Pine. So if those communities sound very familiar to you, you're under the gun at this time with a storm that could produce a tornado at any time, if not one is already on the ground. And this is racing its way off to the northeast, about 45 miles per hour. So once again, Centerville, Chicala, maybe Dardanelle, you're all in the path of this dangerous storm. And as we take a look what's happening around the rest of the area, because we do have blanket severe thunderstorm warnings covering a large part of Garland County, now into Saline County. And just like we've been telling you, it's going to be a line of storms. That line has developed. That line is charging its way to the east along this line, damaging wind gusts, 50, maybe as high as 70 or 80 miles per hour. Certainly is a possibility with some isolated locations. Also, we got to watch out for the potential of spin-up tornadoes because that has been the case, as Ed already mentioned. There have been confirmed tornadoes into Logan County. I'll just click on some of these reports so you can see what those reports are. Right around the Corley area, a home was destroyed, and the family was uninjured because they took their tornado precautions. So that is some good news, and hopefully that will continue to be the case, that we will see reports like that and everybody stays safe out there for tonight, because it's still a long night that we've got to go through, ladies and gentlemen. Until this line moves through your neighborhood, you still have to watch out for the potential of severe weather. So right now, the severe weather threat, it's over for Scott County, for Fort Smith area, for Logan County, into Johnson County, Franklin County, Newton County, and off to the northwest. You're all in the clear. Everybody to the east, watch out and stay weather aware through the course of the overnight. Ed.
All right, Nathan, thanks for that. Yeah, and again, earlier we had some tornadoes that were staying on the ground for quite a while and obviously did some damage. This tornado appears to be more of a type of spin-up tornado along the leading line of that squall line of storms. Now, don't get me wrong, there's some high reflectivities here and there's some strong winds, but these look to me, as far as a radar signature, to be just a little bit more more of maybe embedded in the line where they spin up quickly, and maybe they won't be quite as strong, but we have had, unfortunately, we've had some damage reports coming in from western Arkansas. But right now, if there's a tornado, it's right here near Ola along Highway 10, and of course, it is moving off toward the north and east. Dardanelle, you'd be in the path. Centerville would be in the path as well. Looks like it's crossing over Highway 28. There's a little bit more of a confined radar signature here of a compact wind couplet, but there's also some pretty strong straight line winds to the north of this as well. The blues and the reds indicating those winds merging, or the blue blowing again toward the radar at a pretty good clip, and that could do some damage as well. But this is mainly confined, it looks like now, to southern parts, or mainly the central part of Yell County, extending possibly here up into Pope County. There's Russellville, and there's the county line, which is the Arkansas River. So severe thunderstorm warning, and now that new tornado warning in effect for Yell County that does extend into southern Pope County, that does reach a small part here of Conway County, in effect until 10:30 this evening. We're going to watch this closely here. Stay with you on this. We're not going anywhere. We're going to keep it right here. But we are going to see if we can get any reports from the Weather Service or storm spotters on any kind of damage from that storm. But one thing you can clearly tell is that the storms have all become more linear. They're not as broken looking or fragmented looking like sometimes they can. So this is a line of storms that has developed. And also to note, look how the lightning increases as you go down to southwest Arkansas. This is the second part of our weather story. This is the early Saturday morning part of our weather story. I do expect some of the storms coming out of northeast Texas into South Arkansas late tonight. I'm talking late tonight, early tomorrow morning, to become severe as well. That's why we're still under that risk of severe weather across the southern half of the state. But right now, the main concern is what's going on near Ola, and we're talking about Yell County as this potential tornado moves to the northeast at a pretty good clip, headed again towards southern parts of Pope County. Be careful, seek shelter if you are in the Dardanelle area as well. There's another look at the radar, the velocity display, Nathan.
Yeah, and I'm not seeing the rotation as well as what we were looking at just a few scans ago, about 5-10 minutes ago. So this looks more like a damaging wind threat than actual tornado, but still, you're going to see some gusty winds, and you can still see power outages. You can still see trees come down in Centerville, and these winds are moving through Dardanelle at this time, and will be headed towards Petit Jean, Wilson, Atkins. We're still wondering if they're going to drop the tornado warning maybe a little bit early. That's, of course, up to the National Weather Service. I can't make that call, but at this time, I'm not seeing the rotation like what we were seeing just a few minutes ago, Ed.
Yeah, and you'll keep us posted on that, Nathan, as you're keeping track of that on the computer. But I want to point out a couple things here, is the fact that line, or that wind energy field that I'm looking at on the color display, the velocity display, much more elongated here. There's no tight rotation that I'm seeing either. And as you mentioned, you know, the Weather Service always is going to err on the side of protecting life and property. So what you got?
They are going to cancel it.
Okay. Well,
yeah, they're saying the circulation has dissipated just like what we were seeing, so they're going to cancel it. Severe thunderstorm warning still remains in effect. You can still see some gusty winds, so don't let your guard down. There could still be some gusty winds, 60, maybe as high as 70 miles per hour for all locations under severe thunderstorm warnings, and that does include a large part of central Arkansas. So that is from Stone County, Van Buren County, all the way down through Conway County into Faulkner County, Perry County, and now moving into the Little Rock Metro. So our weather here in the Metro will be going downhill over the next couple hours. The winds will pick up, the rain will pick up, and you're going to see a lot of lightning with these storms as they roll their way through.
All right, Nathan, thanks so much for that. Again, there are currently no tornado warnings in effect, but that's not to say these will spin up, and you'll be seeing us throughout the night from time to time if we get more severe weather. Matter of fact, you'll be seeing us again in about 4 minutes as we start our 10 o'clock newscast. But right now, currently, no tornado warnings. That line has pretty much congealed. Still some strong storms and some gusty winds. Much more in your forecast and your timing coming up in just a couple of minutes. Stay with us. There you see Martindale, the capital city, Little Rock right here. So again, confined right now locally here, but moving east at a good clip. So we'll have to watch that very closely. I do think there are other areas in that line, Nathan, to the north that have shown some signs of rotation, but we're going to keep it right here.
Well, Ed, they said they are going to get rid of the warning. It might have just been a very quick spin up. That's just the case that we're looking at. So there's no tornado warning anymore for Pulaski County at this time. The National Weather Service has canceled the tornado warning. However, you can still see winds of 50 to 60 miles per hour. And we could see winds like that here in Little Rock Metro. So just be on your guard. And there's also the potential of a quick spin up tornado. Ed.
Okay, Nathan. Yeah, that's good. So there's no longer a tornado warning. But guess what, folks? This storm is still very dangerous, and I wouldn't be surprised if another tornado warning is issued within the next couple of minutes. So what we're going to do for you is we're going to go back to social media, keep you posted there, and we're also going to be back on the air regardless here in about 10 minutes to kind of keep you posted as this line of strong and severe weather moves into central Arkansas. We'll be back in just a few minutes, but until then, nothing else, right? Okay, till then, join us on social media, join us on our Facebook page. We'll see you there in just a minute. Hey everybody, Ed and Nathan here. I'm going to give it a few more seconds to let more people join. Up to 200, 250, that's cool. We appreciate all of you. That was kind of a crazy 10 minutes, wasn't it? If you were watching on air or watching on Facebook, we're talking to you about this line that's moving into central Arkansas, a line of severe weather, strong storms, and then we had a tornado warning, and within 8 minutes that tornado warning was canceled because these rotations that we're watching are spinning up quickly, and then they sometimes tend to die out pretty quickly as well. All right, so we're going to talk more about what's going on here in just 1 second, and I'm going to try to answer as many of your questions as I can. Hey Carla, how are you? Thank you all for joining us. Our whole team will be here through the night. Hey Coach Paul, appreciate you. Here's a look outside. It's not very impressive right now, but just a few moments ago, we had some very heavy rain falling. Have not yet seen the brunt of what's coming our way. I'm going to come back in here and talk to Nathan in a minute. If he's not too busy, he's going to show me what he's looking at as far as wind and what we can expect here in central Arkansas in the next, 30 minutes or so. So we're looking at the squall line come through, and you're looking at wind energy and the threat for, again, still some severe weather, right?
Yeah, so pretty much the event is starting to arrive in Little Rock Metro at this time. That's why the rain's going to start to pick up in Pulaski County. We'll just work down the line here first, okay? If you're to the west of the line, your severe weather threat is over, so it's done for Searcy County, pretty much done for Pope County, western parts of Van Buren County, but let me pause this and we'll just go down the line here. So we have severe thunderstorm warnings in effect for Independence County, getting to Lawrence County, Stone County, Israel County. That goes until 11:30. Lots of lightning, heavy rain can be expected in those areas. Work our way down into Cleburne County, Faulkner County, western parts of White County, and that severe thunderstorm warning is in effect until midnight. Pretty much all along this line, there's going to be a potential of winds 40, maybe as high as 60 miles per hour. There could be isolated locations where you could see winds as high as 70 to 80, maybe even 85 miles per hour. Certainly cannot be ruled out. So there is the latest severe thunderstorm warning that does include a large part of Pulaski County. Does not include Little Rock just yet, but I think that will be changing just because we have so much wind energy in the atmosphere. But this severe thunderstorm warning for Saline County and in Pulaski County, western parts of Pulaski County, goes until 11:45, and then also into Garland County, the same story. Working our way down the line, this is just a solid line of lightning, thunder, heavy rain, and gusty winds all the way down along Interstate 30, Arkadelphia, and that's where the severe thunderstorm warnings kind of stop. But still seeing some very heavy rainfall, lots of lightning through Hempstead County. That's going to be moving into Nevada County, down to the Texarkana area. So Prescott, you're seeing some heavy rain. Ralston, you will see some heavy rain. Meanwhile, to the southeast, you're like, hey, what's going on, guys? Do I still need to stay up in Camden, Fordyce, Monticello, El Dorado, Pine Bluff? the threat of severe weather will remain in play through the overnight hours, and that's just because we have a lot of low-level wind energy to work with, so these storms are not going to lose their strength. They're going to continue to remain on the strong side, possibly severe side, as they charge their way to the east. Once this line is past your region, the severe weather threat is over. So let's talk about that real quick to say who's in the clear and who's not in the clear at this time. If I can find the graphic real quick, it might take me a few
It's all right.
seconds here.
While he does that, I just want to point out that, yeah, there's actually two lines. A first line has kind of formed ahead of the main squall line, which is here, and the cool front is still moving through parts of northwest Arkansas. Once that cool front moves through, you're pretty much in the clear, and this is what Nathan's going to show you now as he's loaded this map. Who's in the clear and who's not?
So everybody in the green is in the clear. That includes Polk County, Scott County. I would even say Yell County is in the clear of severe weather. Still the threat of flash flooding, but tornadoes, gusty winds, it's done in Yell County. It's done in Polk County, so I'll have to adjust this a little bit. Everybody to the west of this white line, you'll be done with the threat of severe weather as we get into the midnight hour. So everybody to the west of this line, Hot Springs, through Conway, over to Clinton, you will be done with the threat of severe weather by midnight, I would say. Now, the rest of the area, including the Little Rock Metro, down through Camden, El Dorado, Searcy, up into Jackson County, you still have to be on your guard until about 3 o'clock Saturday morning, and then even later than that for eastern parts of the state until about, let's say 6, maybe even 7 o'clock in the morning.
And again, folks, thank you. Nathan, we'll get back to you here in a second, let you go about that. We did have some reports of damage earlier, mainly out in Logan County. We've had a couple reports, at least so far two. One, a home, the wording was a home destroyed. Another was a mobile home damaged. So far, no reports of injuries that we've heard about. But there have been reports of a lot of power outages and wind damage from these storms. Now, that's one thing I want to relate to you guys who are watching us now through this medium of Facebook Live, which is really, really cool. But hopefully your devices are charged and you're good to go, and you can stay tuned with us as we go through the night, keeping you informed. By the way, look who just showed up.
Nerd alert!
Nerd alert! Oh, she's always pretty. Sarah Fortner's here. She'll take you through the early morning hours, as well as Tracy Bean, and I'm going to hang around as long as this old body lets me. But I guess just to kind of summarize why we're talking to you now is because of this line moving in through the central part of the state. And a lot of people probably waking up going, what is going on? Again, right now, they're mainly severe thunderstorm warnings with winds possibly up to 60 miles an hour, maybe even 70 miles an hour. So we've got all our information, all our computers up. We're watching this. I will take a couple of questions right now, unless Nathan has something you need to tell me. Nothing new there.
I think it looks like we're getting a secondary line forming. It looks like the first line is starting to weaken a little bit back through Pulaski County, and now we've got a secondary line starting to develop. So we'll have to watch out for that because, once again, these storms can fire up real quick. And if they're by themselves, that's when the tornado threat goes up. So we'll have to watch out for this cell into Ouachita County as that moves into Dallas County. The lightning's picking up with that cell, and that cell is starting to grow up into the atmosphere.
Yeah, I think what we're trying to convey to everybody is that just because we had a round one earlier, we're not done yet. And, you know, it's only 11:35 right now. And we're still watching these storms just now get really going down toward our south. So southern Arkansas definitely, as Nathan said a minute ago, not out of the woods by any means. You have not seen any kind of really significant weather in that part of Arkansas at all. So I mentioned the damage that we had earlier. I'm going to look and see if we have any questions. I appreciate you all for the nice compliments. That's what we do. We're here for this, to let you guys stay informed. And I just, a big concern for us is that you don't lose power, but a lot of you will. That just happens. But make sure you have a way to keep information coming in through the nighttime hours. How's it looking in West Little Rock? Well, it's about to look worse. That's the best way to put it. We do have strong winds and thunderstorms moving in to Pulaski County. let me reiterate in case you're just joining us, we are currently not under any tornado warnings. Currently not under a tornado warning in any part of the state. But these spin ups happen quickly, and of course, if there is a tornado warning, we'll be sure to let you know that. But right now, no tornado warnings, just several severe thunderstorm warnings, and of course, the main threat with that is the gusty wind. Somebody said it's cooled off so much in Conway, it's kind of creepy. How is the storm cell, Nathan? I missed it. Sorry, they go back to. They're going back too quick. Hot Springs is getting some really strong winds. Cersei, it'll be your way probably in another couple hours, hour, maybe two. Not much going on in Salem. Stormy Dunn says, I love storms. Stormy says, I love storms. Julie is watching. How are you doing, Julie? Stay safe tonight. Brooke Buckner is watching. Who's, I don't know. Nathan, Sarah, neither one of us know who Brooke Buckner.
That kind of rings a bell, but maybe it doesn't.
No, I don't know who that is. I'll just have to delete her. Anyway, I'm sorry, guys. We're not trying to make light. I am making light, and I don't mean to. We are still dealing with severe weather in the state. I'm just happy to report that currently we're not looking at any tornado warnings that are currently in effect. We are still watching some very strong winds and, of course, some very heavy rainfall. We've had reports of flash flood warnings to our west and northwest with these storms moving through. But right now, Nathan, we're going to sign off unless you have something new to add.
I would just say Mayflower, be prepared for winds of 50 to 60 miles per hour. It's like that's knocking on your doorstep right now. No rotation, but you could see some gusty winds, and that could really cause some power outages. Looking at the Little Rock Metro off to the west, not seeing too much. So,
The winds have even looked to be diminished just a little bit.
I think the cells developing ahead of that line is kind of stealing some of the energy, so we'll have to watch out for these cells developing. I think this is losing strength, and this is going to be strengthened. This is going to be a new squall line.
All right, guys. There you go. We'll be back in a little bit. We won't forget you. We'll keep you updated. But I just want to let you guys go and make sure that you stay with us. And I'll be back, and we'll be back, and we'll all be back. And we'll keep you posted as we head into the early morning hours on Saturday. Our team is here. Happy to report no tornado warnings currently in effect, but there is a tornado watch still in effect until 2 a.m. And that's not to say that won't be extended or, kind of adjusted as we go into the early morning hours. But right now it is 11:40. We're going to sign off for this Facebook Live, but we will keep you posted through the night. Again, you guys stay safe, and most importantly, stay informed. We'll be here.